Hey, Danks. Nope, today I'm wearing my, I don't know if you can see it or not. Hey, Laura. Hey, Danny. I'm wearing my Pec Tech, Sean's t-shirt. Sean gave me a t-shirt, but I figured I would go through my shirts that I picked up. Um, hey, Susan, welcome to the stream. How's Susan doing? Yeah, I picked up a Pec Tech t-shirt. We were all standing around the aquarium co-op. Oh, Dank, you're talking about they didn't do a stream today. Yeah, before my time, they didn't do one. Welcome to the stream, Sharon. Welcome to the stream, Jenna. Welcome to the stream, Okie Rogue. Yeah, I'm. Hey, Kyle. Welcome to the stream, man. Yeah, I was really happy to get to meet Pec Tech, Sean. I've teased him a lot. You know, I told him the only reason I watch his streams is to see what knife he's going to use to open boxes with, and he's from Knoxville, and I spent like 12, 14 years of my life in Knoxville. I've lived there 3 different times, so yeah, he does seem like a good person. He takes all of this with a grain of salt, and we should all take from that lesson. So we were all standing around the co-op booth, Rob's booth, and Pec Tech came up and tapped me and Victor V-Stag on the shoulder and said, "You guys want T-shirts?" And we were talking to couple of people, and I said, "Screw you guys, we're going for T-shirts." So we took off and each got a T-shirt. I think Victor got his in beige, and I got mine in blue, because this was the only 2X he had, and 2X is a little bit large for me. Hey, Vals. Hey, Fish Tropic. Welcome to the stream, man. 2X is a little large for me, but once you start washing them, it's basically a 1X. So, you know, I think they'll be perfect. Let's see. I guess I can run through some of my T-shirts that I got. I don't know how well these are going to show up. I have to watch the screen and delay to see how they show up, so I'll know where to hold them at. I'm showing the back. Okay, let's see how the front comes out. So there is the official Aquarium Co-op AE 2017 shirt, the one that so many people were wearing. And I've got four copies of it. One I had everybody sign, except Corey. Corey was giving his talk, and let's see. And I had I had Rob's wife sign it in great big letters across the back, and Rob signed it in little tiny letters. I'll have to go grab that shirt and show you guys. And this is the Rob Flip Aquatic shirt. Also in 2X. And this is the shirt that I won in the raffle. I dropped $50 on the raffle, and it went all the way around the table, and finally on the second to last one, I won this Aquatropic shirt. And Aquatropic is a saltwater group. They do saltwater stuff. But I've managed to use it, and I'll get into that a little bit here in a bit, how I've managed to use this. Okie Rogue says he'll be listening and lurking, but he's got to get an artificial raising set up ready for discus spawn. That's always fun when your discus get ready to spawn. Discus are pretty exciting fish to keep in the sense that they're rare and expensive, and for them to go ahead and start spawning is a very exciting time. I've kept discus several times and had them spawn a couple of times. And Jenna's doing water changes and will be listening. Okay, Jenna, I'll try to talk loud for you. Okay. I mean, overall, my experience at AE was fantastic. The hotel was... Susan, I'll get to what I'm feeding my shrimp here in a little bit. That ties in perfectly with what I'm going to talk about. I did a video, Susan, that this video behind me is, and it's about feeding my shrimp some of my swag from AE, but I'll get into it a little bit more here. One of the people that was at AE this year is one of my lifelong heroes in the fish keeping industry. Heiko Blair is a bit of an acquired taste in the sense that he seems to be kind of cantankerous sometimes, and I don't know, confrontational might be a word that describes him. Heiko has been studying the habitat of fishes his entire life. He has been going out and collecting fish all over the world. I don't think there is a continent, except maybe Antarctica, that he hasn't been on collecting fish. And I'm sure if he could figure out some way to collect fish on Antarctica, he'd be the first one there. But he has a wealth of knowledge of this hobby that is unsurpassed. There are many, many, many great people in this hobby, but Heiko Blair is one of the top 25 people in the world on just knowing all forms of fishes, all forms of habitats. And he has been, like I said, he has spent, his parents were fish people and went out collecting, and he got the bug very early on, and he has spent his entire life working with, collecting, naming new species, on and on and on and on and on. And like I said, Heiko can be a little bit troublesome in the sense that he's gotten to the age where he says what he thinks, and you know, sometimes that's not the best thing to say in certain company. But he gave a talk on the state of the environment out there in our fish habitats all over the world that was just chilling. I mean, one of the reasons that I went to AE was to catch so many of these great speakers speaking in person. And Heiko's talk was one of the most chilling talks I have ever seen. He showed pictures from 1987, and then the last time he went to that habitat, which in most cases is between 2012 and this year, and the differences between those habitats in that short period of time, 20-something years, is just stunning. It is the scariest thing I've ever seen. About a third of the places that he has gone and collected fish and introduced them into the hobby and gotten the ichthyology work done on them, and they were named and they were categorized. Those places were dry. There was no water there at all. Now, his talking point was pollution, but like I said, in 1/3 of the instances that he showed, there was literally no water there anymore. Not that it was down, not that it was drying up, it was already dried up. There was literally no water, no fish, no habitat, period. Now, maybe in the rainy season, the heavy rains might run some water through there, but that was no longer a viable lake, no longer a viable stream, no longer a viable river for fish to live in, and there were none to collect because they had all died. And that is some scary stuff, that in the past 20 years, 1/3 of the places that he has been to collect fish now no longer exist. Not that they're polluted, not that they're unable to support life. There is literally no life there at all because the water is gone. So, in a probably the other 2/3 minus a small percentage, the pollution that is going on, where these little towns and villages have swelled in size in the past 20 years, have gotten roads put into them. The pollution that is going on, where they just dump their sewers into these waterways or lakes, where all their trash ends up in these waterways and lakes, plastic bottles by the hundreds of thousands, are polluting the waterways that are left badly enough to where the fish are no longer there because they can't survive in that water anymore. And thirdly, where gold mining and other types of mining operations and also palm oil plantations that have come in and cut down the rainforest next to these streams, rivers, and lakes, and literally the runoff and the runoff from the fertilizers and the pesticides, and in the case of gold mining, where they literally just pump water as hard as they can at a side of a mountain. Hey David, welcome to the stream. Hey Big E's, welcome to the stream. They literally just take a fire hose and blast the side of a mountain and run all the mud and muddy water straight back into the stream they're pumping out of, and it literally destroys the environment. Mike Barber, who Corey and Bob and I are going to runs Go Wild Peru, is one of the people that runs Go Wild Peru, sent me some photos from Peru, where they are doing gold mining now, that is destroying that pristine environment just as badly as in Asia, as in Indonesia, as in all over the world. These mining operations are wiping out. You know, we all talk about the dams in Brazil being such terrible things, that they're destroying the habitat. The dams are nothing compared to dry up because of the climate change, pollution from palm oil farming, cutting down in whole ecosystems and running fertilizer and pesticides into the water, and then gold mining or mineral mining that literally fills the streams with mud. So it was one of the most chilling speeches I've ever heard. If things keep going like this, there won't be any wild fish to collect in another 20 years. They'll all be gone. The only place that those fish will exist is if we keep them alive in our tanks. So anyway, I'm just trying to make the point of what Heiko Blair was there to make the point of. And I thought he did that chillingly and as frighteningly clear as it could possibly be made. So later on, the Pet Industry Joint Advisory Council did a panel where they were talking about legislation in our hobby, things that, hey Sergeant Tank, welcome to the stream, man, where they were talking about laws that are being enacted. It's a very real possibility that in the near future we will no longer be able to buy live fish at a pet store if the regulatory bodies that come from the government have their way. They've already knocked puppies out. They're going after cats, and fish won't be far behind. So the PIJAC, Pet Industry Joint Advisory Council, has people that advocate for fish keepers and pet owners, and for the stores themselves and the corporations that own the stores, and the people that work in the stores, and the people that work in the peripheral industries like dog groomers and all that sort of stuff. PIJAC does yeoman's work watching the legislation that is up and also keeping up with problems that are arising in that industry, and that industry includes fish stores. So this is a little known, very important group that does great work for our fish stores, for our fish industry, shippers, transshippers, farms, all those kind of people fall under their auspices. And we need people to watch the legislation closely, to advocate when possible, and pull up lawyers and sue when the government overreach is about to kill our hobby and our industry. And so do not get anything that I will say further wrong. I am completely behind PIJAC because of the work that they do to help the hobby. But their panel gave its talk, and they talked about several of the things that they are doing to try to ensure that partly that the environment stays fairly clean, partly that the laws stay in the realm of possibility for shippers and transshippers and stores to sell. They have all these kinds of things that they're doing that helps, that they spend money on, that we donate to them, and that stores and other people donate to them, that helps keep our hobby afloat. But after the panel got done talking, they opened the floor to questions. And who should appear in the back of the room but Heiko Blair? And he basically asked them one question. Why are you wasting all of this money on all of these things that aren't going to do a bit of good in our hobby, when you should be spending your money and our money on teaching people how to culture salt fish, how to raise and breed salt fish? You should be teaching fish keepers to keep biotope aquariums where it is only the fish from one small localized area, to keep them alive, to keep them thriving, and to breed and keep them going, because pretty soon there's not going to be any other fish anywhere. And the people on the panel were deeply flustered. They got all flummoxed and started him-hawing around, and Basically, Heiko had asked them one question and blown everything that they had said previously out of the water. And they gave him as good of an answer as they could. They said that they did support some of the breeding operations, but that they were so small and so few between that they didn't really offer much of a solution, whereas Heiko strongly believes that that's the only solution, because these fish are literally not going to exist in the wild soon. Many of the fish that we keep are threatened in the wild or are extinct in the wild. And I think this is something that we as hobbyists need to strongly take into consideration, to learn the ways to breed and keep our fish so that we can keep them alive.
You've got exactly the same challenge in the orchid hobby.
Orchids are the same way because the habitat's being destroyed.
Yeah.
So
all these places where these fish are, orchids are in the same place.
Yeah. So for me, that was the highlight of AE because of how powerful Heiko Blair's statement was and how much weight it carried, in the sense that it literally blew everything the Pet Council had said previously out of the water. And Heiko's like that. He has an opinion that is very strong and very based on his experience. And it's something we need to respect. We need to respect people like Heiko Blair. I mean, there's dozens and dozens of people that are like that. And many of them were at this show. It was incredible to listen to Gary Lang talk. Sounds like our cats are fighting. It was incredible to listen to Gary Lang talk. Hans George Evers talked. It was wonderful. Karen Randall talked, and she was great. Lizzie, stop that. He's just a little kitten. Stop that.
Come here, Lizzie. Come on, girl. Come on.
Cat fighting. So, besides meeting all of the wonderful people, I can't really name you all off, but, you know, King Lee, Jimmy I got to see again, Bob Steenquat I got to meet, Corey I got to meet, the fish nerd Carlos I got to meet, JH Aquatics I got to meet, Fish Fam News. I got to meet a lot of you. V-Stag, Victor I got to meet. And I was remarkably happy meeting everybody and getting to press the flesh and even in a small way get a chance to interact with them and talk to them. I got to see Dustin again. I got to meet Peck Tech. I got to meet a great many YouTubers that I know and recognize, and people that are often in my live streams that I so much. I got to meet Jeremy, and it was wonderful getting to put together the phone calls and the emails that we have sent back and forth. Low Fish Fam News. Did JH interview anyone for the news report? He interviewed me. I'm not sure when or where that will come out or if, but I did get to do an interview with him, and I enjoyed it very much. He asked some pertinent questions. He threw me some curves, which is always a good thing for an interviewer to do. So, Heiko Blair, his speeches, his queries, his spending time with Lucas, walking through his book. And by the way, my wife wanted the book so badly that when I got home, we went ahead and ordered it, found the cheapest version we could, which happened to be at Heiko Blair's publishing company. and went ahead and ordered a copy, so that copy will be coming in. And that's Heiko Blair, Biotopes. And Biotopes is a book that I wanted when I got ready to do my 110 gallon to set it up, because I knew that it would contain information about the biotope where my fish are from. Yeah, I think he's having a hard time with his internet down there. I think they're all having a hard time with internet and power and water and everything down there. Something we all take for granted. They're doing without still down there. And I won't say any more about that. So, the second person that I met at the show that just floored me with his knowledge, with his ability, with the shrimp that he produced. Kyle, I don't know specifically if the Nile River is in the book, but it has each continent set aside in a section, a color-coded section that you can see from the outside, so you can go to whichever continent you want. And knowing Heiko Blair, he's done the Nile River and the Fahaka puffers as well. So yes, I would say that it does. And if it doesn't, it will have something that is so close that it will give you almost the same information as the Nile. Anyway, the next person that I met that just floored me, that just shocked me with his abilities, shocked me with the quality of the shrimp that he was putting out, was a guy named Ching Tung Vin Say, Tsay. And he has a Facebook account, and I would highly recommend looking him up. And he pulled 7 prizes from the shrimp contest, including Best of Show, and the number 1 in several categories. And his shrimp were just incredible. I've never seen shrimp. I mean, I'm not really well versed in the Caradinas, in the bees and the crystals and all that stuff. But this guy's shrimp were just phenomenal looking. They just look so much different from everyone else's shrimp that it just spoke to the quality of his methodology in keeping shrimp, and it spoke to how well he has culled and picked and chosen the proper shrimp to breed together to get new variations of Caradinia shrimp. And I've never really had the urge to keep Caradinas, but after watching him, after talking to him, I didn't get to talk to him very long because he was pretty busy, but just the little amount of time that I spoke to that man taught me a great deal about shrimp keeping. I finally asked him, I said, these shrimp you've got for sale here are $800 a piece. How much time do you have involved with culling, rearing, generations of breeding to get to this shrimp? How much time of your own time do you have involved with that? And he looked at me, kind of rolled his eyes, and he said, 5 years. So anyone that spends that amount of time on just one type of shrimp to get that shrimp to the point where it breeds true, where it holds its colors, and it's a thriving group of shrimp, it's not unconscionable to me for them to charge that much for something like that. Just think what they've gone through. And I'm sure that Lucas could explain that to us exactly. because that's the way his shrimp have been done. He has taken years and years and years to get these lines to the point where they're producing exactly the kind of shrimp that he wants, and they are breeding true, and they are viable and will thrive easily and breed easily. And that's a lot of work. So I really had an exceptional time speaking to the man, recognizing what he has been doing. And I'm not someone that I don't know Chris Lukup. I don't know all these great shrimp breeders that there are out there. Kyle, it is Heiko Blair, and the book's name is Biotopes. At least I think that's what Val's was talking about. So, just meeting and speaking to Vin Fish is what he goes by, Vin Fish, and watching Heiko Blair through other people's videos, which mainly Lucas's video, and in his speeches, and watching him interact with, he says his daughter, but she's so young, I think she must be his granddaughter, but maybe it is his daughter. His daughter was with him at all of his talks. Listening to the passion and the verve in his voice when he is speaking about something that he has witnessed going on so powerfully in the past 20, 30 years, the destruction of habitat by the things we already talked about, just getting a chance to be a part of that, to receive that directly from, was amazing to me, was what made the whole conference for me. And people like Gary Lang and Dustin and Hans George Evers and Corey and all of the people that were there were icing on the cake, as it might be, because they offered a whole nother section. And then to look at all the... What, honey?
I'm sorry, I was talking to the kitty.
Oh, get him off your keyboard.
He won't stay
Here. Leave him to me and I'll show him to the internet.
Yes, let's show him how much he's grown.
Yes, so they can keep up with how much he's grown. Yes, say hi to the internet, Smokey. Tell everybody hi. Tell them all hi. Yes, do you see this right up here? You see that right up there? Don't claw me, don't bite me. No, you don't need to draw blood. You don't need to draw blood. Ouch, 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 ouch. And then to see all the aquascaping contests, all the wonderful people in that part of the hobby, to follow Lucas's tank, even though he didn't win, it was a beautiful tank and had some amazing fish in it. Probably my favorite fish of the whole show was Lucas's lime endlers. I've seen them on video a lot, but in person, they were just stunning. Yeah, yeah. Yes, you just sit here with me for a minute. So, you know, to me, AE offered just some phenomenal opportunities to meet and speak to people, to rub shoulders with people, to listen to experts in their fields talk. He's just not going to sit up here. You want to bite me? You want to bite? Oh, he's such a mean cat. Oh, he's such a mean cat. Oh, ouch. Ouch. Okay, get out. Go fight with Rufus. Go fight with Rufus. Phew. Okie Rogue says, I heard Kitty and came running. Well, Smokey is adorable. Yeah, he's a piece of work. We're the whole household is getting used to him still. And Lizzie, our tiny Maine Coon, she's a full black Maine Coon cat. And Maine Coons are, yes, JAWB's Aquarium. It was great to see you too, man. I've just been trying to remember everybody's names that I've seen and talked to at AE. I'm trying to kind of do a wrap up on the high spots for me, the moments where I really I didn't spend any time going to the movies or going out to dinner with everyone. I wasn't trying to be antisocial. I just that kind of stuff is just not something that I do a lot of, so I didn't really get involved with that stuff, but I tried my best to be involved with all the rest of it. And truth be told, I went to see the speakers because of how wonderful they were, and to check out the cellars and the fish. And all of the YouTube people and normal fans that are part of the hobby were, like I said, just icing on the cake. It was just so wonderful. I mean, the best part of AE is the people, you know, and some of the people are experts and some of the people are hobbyists, but it's all of the people all together that make it so wonderful. I did pick up swag while I was there. I promised to tell Susan what I was feeding my fish, my shrimp. This stuff came in my Aquatropics, I'm going to say, bag. Let's see if you can see it through the bag. Probably not. I'm probably going to have to get it out of the bag. I'm not even sure you're going to be able to see it then. This stuff is, it's nori, basically. The same stuff that you use to wrap sushi with. I'm not sure if you can see that very well, but it is thin sheets of a certain kind of algae, Pyropia tenera, all natural roasted green seaweed. And I'm sure it's got algae in it too, but it is seaweed. And that's basically what nori is, the black stuff that they wrap sushi with when you go and get a sushi wrap. As you can see, it's torn at the top. I've been tearing off little pieces and putting them in my shrimp tank and letting them soak at the surface, and then they sink, and the shrimp love them. Now if I put too much in there, they kind of eat a bunch of it and then let it go. So I've had to kind of hold back and not put too much in. You know, if I just tear off, you know, say that much and put it in my 20-gallon shrimp tank, they'll eat every bit of it. But if I go down here and tear that much off, they won't eat it all. But this was made for saltwater fish, you know. And Kyle says he feeds it to his mollies and flagfish. So, you know, I was kind of disappointed when I realized that this one thing that I had won in the raffle was saltwater stuff. But in the end, it turned out to be just fine because I'm making good use of it. Is he still attacking you? Mm-hmm. He's been biting the crap out of me. Here, let me put him up. Let me put him on the porch and let him spend a little time out there.
Okay.
Yes, you're just getting to be too much of a handful, mister. Yes, you go out and spend a little quality time by yourself.
Hello, everyone. I hope you had fun at Aquatic Experience. I was just saying hi to your audience.
Yeah, well, I thought you were going to talk more about it, so I was going to stay out of your way.
No, I don't know anything about
Well, I guess I don't have the other. This was another thing that I got out of the same bag. Now this says Ogo Gracilaria pacifica. All natural, highly nutritious food for herbivores and omnivorous marine species. And I have not tried this yet, but I will at some point give it a try. Because I talked to an aquaponics guy, and he said, yes, you can feed all that stuff to your freshwater shrimp. They'll love it. So basically, that's what I'm doing with it. I haven't tried it. I put a few pieces in on my other tanks, but so far they didn't really show much interest in it. I got Sierra Vipan family, which is kind of like tetra granules. I tried to buy, there was a booth set up near where Vin Fish's booth was, and I tried to buy, my wife still wants some jade shrimp, and so I tried to buy some jade shrimp, but I told the guys I didn't want to keep them in a bag in my room for 3 days and then drive them home, that I would wait until the end of the show and then come and see what they had left. And when I came on the last day, very early on the last day, they told me that some guy had come in and bought both of their freshwater shrimp tanks. Tanks, water, shrimp, substrate, pumps, air hoses, everything. Both of them at once. So not only did they not have shrimp, jade shrimp, they didn't even have the tanks. And those guys were Joe's Aqua, and I've looked them up, and there is a pet store out west. I'm going to guess California, but it may be someplace else, called Joe's Aquarium, and that's those guys, and they're both from Taiwan as well. And they gave me this J powder, which I am assuming, yeah, Val's is right. Anybody that's looking for Heiko's book, it's 10 euros cheaper at Heiko's printing company right now than it was the last time I checked. So it's 89 euros right now from Heiko Blair's company. I thought about asking them to get him to sign it, but then I looked in the comments and he's gone all the time. It's really hard for them to get him to sign books. You have to wait if you want a signature. Anyway, this stuff is called J powder. There's absolutely no information on it. It's www.jtib.com. Bees, Joe's Aquarium. So I'm assuming that this is like Bacter AE, that it is a powder that has, it's like a food for shrimplets, that you put it in the tank and the baby shrimp can find it. It gets scattered all over the tank and becomes, like biofilm for baby shrimps to eat, like Bacter AE is. But I have yet to try it yet because I've had so much of this other stuff. More Vipan family from Sierra. Sierra catfish chips. And I've not used a lot of Sierra stuff, so I'm looking forward to trying these out. Sample Hikari Sinking Cichlid Excel, and I have been feeding that to my the book title is Biotopes. It's Blair's Biotopes. Heiko Blair. Hikari sample pack of sinking catfish Excel. Small size cichlid staple from Hikari. And a lot of this stuff came in the bag that you got. I got 2 of them. Sierra O-nips, which this is something that I've seen a lot of YouTubers use to get their fish to come up to the side of the tank so that they can film them easily, and I'm looking forward to trying that. Anyway, I got tons of this stuff. So that's just an extra added bonus that you get. And I didn't even try. I went to like 3 booths and, you know, pushed them for samples, you know. And I got a bunch of posters, a bunch of shrimp posters. I picked up a copy of... Here, talk to him for a second.
Talk to him for a second.
Yeah, I'm going to show him the book.
Oh, okay. Okay, I came to talk to you for a second, as I was instructed. How are y'all doing? I was real interested in the Biotope book after I saw it on Lucas's 2-hour video where he did the video of all the vendors and also all the shrimp tanks.
Show him your book and talk to him about it.
Oh, you're talking about this book?
Yes.
Okay, this is
Karen Randall.
Sunken Gardens by Karen Randall, and I've read about 2/3 of it. And it gives you pretty much all the information that you need about plants that you may want to grow in your tank. Of course, it's all about the planted tank. And it also gives good information about what I want to call it, how to, if you're interested in using plants for decoration and for making some of those aquascapes, it's good for that too. But for me, I found the best information was about the plants themselves, what kind of water they liked, what kind of light they liked. I mean, within certain parameters, all water plants like the same thing. You know, a certain level of light and a certain level of hardness in the water. But there are some variations as you move from the equator north and south. And it's good to have, to understand those variations because they change with the seasons. And she talks about that as well. She also talks about various kinds of substrata to use with various plants. Some plants, as you know, like to sit on top or don't want to be submerged in a substrate at all. Kind of like, what am I thinking of? Those water ferns, and some of them like to be just barely submerged in the substrate, and some like to be buried deeply. So those are important things to know as well. Some plants, like the lilies, have a dormancy period, which they need to be pulled out and let sit in a dry, cool place for 3 to 6 months. So she's got all that information. Let me show you some pictures from inside. All right, like here's cool, beautiful aquascape that is meant to primarily display the plants and not the fish necessarily. I'm very fond of these kinds of scapes because they tend to use little grasses and things in the front, and of course your medium plants in the middle and your tall plants in the back. But those little grasses and those little teeny plants like Monte Carlo are notoriously hard to grow, and so she talks and gives some tips about things like that as well. So let me see, I'll show you a couple more pages. Okay, here we go. She's talking about Marcelie hirsuta, which means Marcelie hirsute means hairy. So it's this little plant right here that looks kind of like baby tears. I don't know if it is or not because I don't have my things memorized. Did I lose my... Oh, brother. Smokey came and stepped on the... Crap. Dwayne? Smokey came and stepped on the keyboard and now I've lost the video. What do I do?
The main thing that you do is not let him step on it.
Well, I had both hands holding up the book, honey.
Okay. Let's see. There you go.
I'm sorry, everyone. Smokey stepped on the keyboard and did something, and I lost you. So, Marcelie hirsuta. And let's see, are there any questions? Oh, Fish Tropic says 3 months. Wow. Yeah, in fact, aponjatons are one of the plants that can benefit from, after it blooms, take it out, let it set in a cool, dry place for about 3 months and before you put it back in, and sort of reinvigorates it. What do you feed them? What, are you talking about plants or fish? I don't know. What do you feed plants? I'm sorry, I just get these little tablets and I poke them in the substrate down by the roots. And I know they're high in manganese and magnesium. So
those are called root tabs.
Root tabs, okay, root tabs. I'm glad Dwayne knows this stuff because I surely don't. Well, I know it, but it's just that I can't remember it. Oh, and here's a picture of that beautiful bronze, what's it called? Echinodoris. And it has a really kind of bumpy texture on the leaves, and it's very bronzy colored, and it really makes your green plants show up well, but it also is very wonderful itself. And I just put 2 big ones of these in my baby tank where we're growing out our Goiter River rainbows, and looks beautiful. So Dwayne's back, so I'm going to let him take over. Bye, everyone. Good to talk to you. Clear the path.
Yeah, so I've got a bunch of stuff in the way. Oh. All right, I'm back. And I brought with me this gigantic 3X that I got from Corey. And you can see some of the signatures on it. I'm not going to point them out, but Steamspot signed it. Jimmy signed it. Jim. Several people signed it. Guess I got to get it up a little higher for you to actually see them. They all signed underneath. And on the back, Wait for it. You can see Amanda Lupton signed it all the way across the back, and if you look at the A, you'll see Rob's signature in tiny, tiny black letters. Amanda thought that was pretty funny. I did too. Okay. All right. Hey, Chaz, welcome to the stream. Chaz says, I fed the microworms yeast and sugar to the yeast. I guess you guys are talking about culture mediums. I think the key is to only use sterilized water and dissolve sugar into boiling water to prevent the amount of bacteria. Yeah, RO or distilled will work. There are a lot of forums on wine that deal with aquaculture in the sense of culturing microworms and all the different kinds of worms and things that we can feed our fish, flies, wingless flies, all that sort of stuff. So I would advise anyone that's interested in that to look that stuff up. No, Jenna, the book she was showing you is one of the speakers at the show was Karen Randall, and Karen Randall is not a professional in the sense of many of the other people that spoke there are professionals. They sell, stuff. They make their living. Well, I guess in that sense you could say that. But this is Karen Randall's book. She writes for Amazonas. She writes for Tropical Fish Hobbyist. She's written several books, but this is her newest book, and it's called Sunken Gardens, a step-by-step guide to planting freshwater aquariums. And it's an excellent book. Her talk. I have a brown thumb. My wife has a green thumb, but I have a brown thumb when it comes to plants. But even I learned from the talk, and it was an excellent talk. And this is an excellent book. Anybody that's into aquarium plants, it's probably the newest, best book to have on the subject. She's just a hobbyist like we are, only she writes for lots of magazines and has done it for so long. She's on the board of, what's the name of that group? Aquarist?
ASA or ACA or something like that.
Yeah. Anyway, she's on the board of the hey Bracken, welcome to the stream. Getting microworms in 1 week's time. Microworms are real easy. You can just use, make a kind of gooey slurry out of powdered mashed potatoes, or you can use oatmeal. There's a lot of different things that you can make that you can culture microworms in. Normally the easiest is just a box of those powdered mashed potatoes. Throw some in, stir it around with enough clean water to get it to make kind of an icing-like consistency. Chaz is saying we need to improve the culture medium. I don't know. I really like using mashed potatoes because when you swipe around the edge of the glass to get your microworms, you inevitably get a little mashed potatoes on your end of your finger as well. And when you swish it off in the tank, the babies or the fish will eat the mashed potatoes almost as much as they'll eat the Yeah, I would use distilled water or RO water, Bracken. I think those two things would be much cleaner than just regular tap water with chlorine and everything else it's got in it. Anyway, the fish will eat the mashed potatoes too. They get tired of it after a while. Maybe the 10th or 12th time you swipe and put it in there, they just ignore the mashed potatoes and eat the worms. But for quite a while, you can get away with feeding them both. All right, guys. Yeah, and Chaz is telling you to cook it to kill any excess bacteria. All right, guys, we've broached the 1 hour mark. Unless there's any big questions that are up, I appreciate you guys spending part of your Saturday with me. And I will talk to you on the flip side. Yeah, I wouldn't use agar-agar as a culture medium. It's too jelly-like. I don't think most worms would be able to actually cut through that. Chaz, I really don't think you'll find agar-agar as a useful culture medium. Thank you, Susan, for coming by. Yeah, Chaz, when are you going to stream, man? We've been missing you for quite a while. All right, guys, I'm going to shut it down. Good luck, YouTube.